Another team that was in the playoffs from this last year was the Eagles. We saw them fly high, started off 10-1, and then crashed and burned. Um, we got news today that Jason Kelsey is retiring. So, one of the greatest centers of all time, he's retiring after 13 years. So, offensive line, obviously, something to address, although they do have the best offensive line in football. We'll go through the contracts too, but what do you think the main takeaway is for the Eagles this offseason?
Yeah, the main takeaway is they need more leadership there, and they still need the same thing that the Jacksonville Jaguars needed this offseason. Last episode, if you watched that, they need a little bit of that dog vaccination because I'm told that Jalen Hurts is one of the best leaders in the NFL, and he was scored with high praise as one of the better leaders in the NFL. But where was that when they were falling apart last season? Where was that when you went from 10-1, winning all of these one possession games, to losing all of those games? Where was that when AJ Brown was throwing a temper tantrum off of the field? And then also, your entire team is old. We can't be bringing in fossilized Darius Slay anymore. No, Tyron Matthew is not going to fix your defense this offseason. Don't even think about going out to get him. No, signing Darius Leonard is not the solution. This is just a team that defensively needs to get younger and then fix the offensive line, replace Jason Kelsey there. But also, you lost Miles Sanders. You replaced him with D Swift, who's good for like 4 games. But other than that, he's not going to be your bell cow in the run game to take some pressure off of Justin Fields, not Justin Fields,
Jalen.
Jalen Hurts there. And then also, Nick Sirianni needs his babysitter on the sideline not to get suspended because apparently, if he doesn't have his security guard to hold him back, he gets in fights. He gets into fights with players and other coaches on the sideline, which is pretty crazy when you have articles coming out how a head coach in the NFL needs a babysitter on the sideline, and that's why the Eagles fell off. That can't happen.
Yeah, no, a lot of questions with Nick Sirianni. I'm glad they kept him for 1 year to prove himself because obviously they started off really hot, and then what happened. Whatever, we can see how that ends up playing into next year. But for them, a lot of their leadership that they had going into the season with Jason Kelsey and a lot of these other guys who have been there, they're starting to get older and they're starting to leave. We'll look at the free agents in a second here, but for them, their biggest issues that I had last year was their secondary. Their secondary, they got cooked. And their solutions that they had were signing the Darius Leonards and getting wide receiver help, signing Julio Jones and things of that nature. So maybe get out of the retirement home when it
Yeah.
comes for that.
Who'd they trade another retired safety from Tennessee who's aging a little bit?
Kevin Byard.
Kevin Byard they trade for. Yeah, now it's going to be Honey Badger. Watch.
Yeah. And so they have a lot of cap space. They have $41 million in cap space. And their biggest contract is Hassan Reddick. If they restructure his deal, they'll clear up 11 mil. But other than that, that's not really much else they can do. His cap hit is 21 million. Jalen Hurts' contract has yet to set in. So next year, that could be something to look forward to. And then free agent wise, some players, Kevin Byard's a free agent. Will they keep him? Will they not? Fletcher Cox, will he retire? Will he leave? We don't know. Brandon Graham, D Swift is also a free agent. Boston Scott. Now that's a tough replacement there.
He's a guy. He's
He-
like one of those like I don't know. He's one of those guys where people are like, "Oh, Boston Scott," but he's kind of like he comes in, gives them a little bit of energy. So I feel like he's just a good guy to have in the building.
Yeah, no, for sure. And then Shaq Leonard, Julio Jones, if Julio Jones finally decides to retire. Um, so those are the big players. I think for them, if they don't try and re-sign Kevin Byard, I think Tyrann Matthew is someone that they're going to be looking at. Marcus Mariota, he'll be a backup somewhere probably. But those are the big free agents for them.
Yeah, pretty big free agents, but nothing, no one you can't replace there. So I think in the draft, definitely going defensive heavy, trying to get younger here, and then Jalen Carter needs to have a complete season this year. Need to start seeing a little bit more from Jordan Davis, some other players that you've drafted recently, but mostly, yeah, you're right. Secondary help here. Is Stephon Gilmore retiring? Maybe they're probably going to pull another person out of the retirement home into their secondary there, but that could help them. I think they should rebound a little bit this year, but I'm not in love with Kellen Moore, not in love with Wink Martindale. It seemed like they went more big name than actually talented coordinator here, so we'll see how that works out, but optimism pretty 50-50 on the Eagles here.
Yeah, see, my thing is I think that they should still win their division, but it's kind of the similar to the Bills where it's like Yes, they can win their division, but where else can they go? I think their ceiling is still being in that Super Bowl window, but floor is, if it's as bad as what happened the last 7 games, then this could be a really disappointing season ahead.